Hey guys, Ramblin Bob here again with another question from a scriber. So, here's a good one. They said, how many amps does it draw from the wall? And they're referring to the AC charger. This old guy. Remember the lunchbox you get when you first buy the system? I call it the lunchbox because of that. Alright, so, well, let's give it a test. Okay, so let's set that to the side. Let's move this in here better so you can see. I'm going to reset the system live so you can see that there's no historical data in there. Okay. Then we're going to plug in the AC lunchbox, the original charger that came with the Pecron. And then we're going to check out some readings here and see what it says. Okay, so as you can see, with the AC just plugged in by itself and not doing anything, so it's on standby, it's using approximately 9 watts of power. And that would be 0.185 amps. Okay, so a little bit of amperic draw. That's the original charger. I like the new one better, and I'll show you that in a minute. All right, so let's go back to the watts again. Okay, then we're going to plug it into the Pecron E2000LFP, and we're going to see what kind of amps and watts it draws. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, all right, that's plugged in. And now we're going to watch those watts and amps ramp up here. This is a fun test. I really enjoy testing all this stuff for you guys, so keep the questions coming. It's kind of a new hobby for me, so it's wonderfully fun. It really is. And I like electronics anyway, so I'm always tinkering with electronics, so I might as well do it and help somebody at the same time. Okay, so now we have the wattage. 635, I think it maxes out about just under 640 watts. And then we're going to see how many amps. So let's let it ramp up all the way first. And that way we get an accurate reading. You know, sometimes energy has to ramp up. Kind of like your car, you know, when you get on the freeway, you got to kind of rev that engine up. You can't just jump up and go 80 miles an hour. Otherwise, well, your hair will be in the back seat. All right, let's see. So, yep, there's 600, so just under 640. So now we're pretty stable. The system is bringing in 540 watts from that charger, and then we're going to go to the amps, and there you go. You have 8.102. well, we're going to say about 8, because it's obviously, you know, energy bounces, voltage bounces in the lines, obviously, and this goes down to the very, very low percentage of an amp. So we can definitely just say about 8 amps from the wall, which is nice because an average receptacle usually pulls about 16 or 15 amps. So that means that you could run 2 of them on one wall if you have that 20 amp circuit in there. If you have a 15 amp circuit, you gotta watch out, because obviously if it's 15 amp circuit and you're pulling 16 amps, that's too much for that circuit. What I like to do is I like to put one on one circuit and one on another when I need it. And that way you're dividing those amps up. You're doing 2 things. You're not blowing your circuit. That's a good thing. And the other thing is, when you keep the amps lower from one wall to 2 walls or 2 receptacles, you're dropping the heat down. And that helps. That helps with energy transfer, because more heat means more loss. So, all right, now we know that that's 8 well, look, it's 8.1, so it actually ramped up a little bit. So we're going to say about 8 amps. We're going to say about that. So we have an approximation of 8 amps. All right, let me unhook that one, and I want to show you a new one. Okay, now Pecron sent me this guy. This is a newer version. I don't even know if it's out yet. I had to pay for it. It cost me $100, but it's a special, I don't know if it's a special. All the outputs are the same. The voltage is the same. The amps are the same. 42 volts by 15 amps. 120 by 240 VAC. Yeah, so everything is the same except the model number. And what I like, guys, is this. This is big for me. This is the new one. This is the old one. You can see how much kind of bigger it is. You don't really see it that way, but boy, when I turn it this way, well, look at that, guys. Big difference, huh? That's a big difference. This one is just more small. More small. That's a word, more small. All right, so we're going to try the amps on that one. And we're going to see what kind of amperic draw it has on that one. I have a video dealing with this charger, if you want to know, I have the actual model number, and you can go and, you know, ask Pecron, can you order it? I like it a lot better than the original. Everyone knows I was very crucial with that lunchbox. That looked like something Dad would carry to work, you know, back in the 60s. Okay, you remember the metal lunch boxes with the little thermoses inside? Yeah, you remember those. Okay. So now we're going to plug in the new charger, and we're going to check the vampiric draw on that. I call them vampire devices. Those are ones that kind of use energy for no reason, so I always recommend not plugging those in. Okay, so notice that the other one, the lunchbox one, used to use about 10 watts almost on standby. This one only uses 2. It's 1/5 of the energy savings. Now, I would like to see 0. It's very simple for these companies to just put an off switch on a power a charger, you know, AC charger. Just a simple power switch. It costs you $0.25. It can't be too much. Okay, and then we're going to see what kind of amps it's drawing, what's sitting. Now, notice that amperage is much lower, 0.039, right? That's very low. So I still want to see an off switch, though. Pecron, put an off switch on your ACs. Actually, everybody put an off switch. All right, so let's go back to the watts. Okay, now I'm going to plug it in the Pecron E2000LFP. Give me 1 second. Okay, and we're back here. Now that's going to ramp up. One thing I noticed right away is the fan on the new one is very, very quiet unless you really push it hard. It takes a while. But the lunchbox, boy, that's a loud, obnoxious box. It really is. And I've told Pecron many times I was very critical of that box. But I know we need a charger, but I would like a nice, quiet charger. If you had 2 of those on at the same time, I guarantee you couldn't sleep in the same room unless you like that ambiance noise. Okay, so notice that this one is pulling 644 watts. Okay, I think it's almost done. Yep. Okay, so it kind of ramped up kind of where it's going to be. So now we're going to go to the amps. And there you go. 5.4 amps. Much more efficient, isn't it, guys? Less amps, more watts. So that means it uses the circuitry a little bit better and nicer, cleaner. So the original one, now we found out, the original lunchbox, this guy, uses 8 amps worth of power to charge your Pecron. But the new one, as you see, uses just under 5.5. Now, if you had 2 of these, you can easily put them on one circuit. I could put both of these chargers on one wall because 5.5 plus 8.5, that's only 14, right? So that would work fine. But I'd highly recommend, let me unplug it here. I would highly recommend, guys, if you can, look up this model number here. I hope you can see that. I'm gonna spell it here. It's YC750-W42V15AM. So look that up, and obviously that's a much more efficient charger. That is a much more efficient charger. Save you 3 amps out of your pulling from your source, and then your heat won't go so bad. So if it was between these 2 guys, I would highly recommend the new one. I have 1 of each, but like I said, I bought them both with my own money. This one costed me $100. So I would recommend, if you're going to buy a new charger, just send a message to Pecron and say, hey, you know, that Ramblin Bob guy on the YouTube there, he has a charger that you made, and it's obviously your charger. Can you do me a favor and send me one of those? I'll even pay a couple bucks extra because I think it's well worth it. And then you don't have to pull so many amps from your wall or your power source. Like if you were pulling from a generator, keeping those amps down is very, very important because it saves your gas in your generator, you know, if you're not pulling so much power. And, you don't lose so much with the heat and the transfer and all the cables and everything. Well, I think that's all we have to do for this test. I really appreciate the question. As I said, I really enjoy doing these reviews and helping people learn about technology. I have many questions too, and now we kind of build a little community here where if any of us have questions, we can always ask. I'll go over to the Pecron here, if I can go past all this stuff, and you can see we're still running good. I've had 0 problems. This has been running 24/7 for a long time now. And I mean 24/7. I'm going to plug back in my other solar string, and let's kind of see what I'm getting for solar power. I know it's not so good today. You know, that darn snow fell today. We got about 6 or 7 inches. That's crazy. So I went out there and I took the solar panels, not solar panel, I took all the snow off the solar panels, and you can see I have, what do I have here? I have 1,200 watts of solar hooked to this thing right now, and you can see I'm only getting 200 and nothing. So I'm fighting the sun today because with the snow, and it's still snowing out there, and of course when you have snow you have clouds, so that's covering up our solar god rays up there. So I wish they would get out of the way and let me have some of that free energy. But until then, I'll just keep watching the meter and doing these reviews. I appreciate it, guys. I really do. Send in your questions. Leave a comment. It really helps. If you have a question and you think it's a bad question or a dumb question, believe me, it's not. It really isn't. Every question deserves an answer. I believe in that. Because if you don't know the answer to a question, you're going to keep asking it in your head. So, any questions, leave it down there. Like, subscribe, become a part of this community. It's pretty cool. We don't call it subscribing here. We call it scribers. So if you want to become a scriber, hit that subscribe button. Join the family. And I'll see you on the next Ramblin Bob review. Bye, guys. Travel safe.